Okay. On pause would probably be helpful. At what point do I decide that this is worth it?
I don't know.
I don't like it, but I think I'm gonna take it. Okay, I'm only taking that because the evasion goes up a lot. Oh yeah, look at the ES weapon I have here.
The failing.
I saw it in the shop and knew I needed it. Everything's gotten so expensive. Okay, you can't tell me Failing's 2 and expect me not to take it.
But I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Nice. Well, we'll try for a little bit.
Hello?
Hello. Welcome back.
Wait, I thought you went somewhere.
No, you said you were going somewhere and you would be back, and you never said anything until now.
Uh, I went to go use the restroom like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, and you never came back.
I thought I said something whenever I got back.
No.
I-
I was waiting for you to come
Also,
back.
there's lag. Like, okay, you weren't saying anything, so I figured you were.
I wasn't saying anything as I did everything I was doing until I was waiting for you. You wanted to read the database too.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. We've just been sitting. Like the other person was gone.
You were gone. I never was.
Yeah, I came back like 20 minutes ago. I thought I said something. You've been real quiet
I had nothing.
until I heard you like bump your mic or something. I was like, oh, you're here. Anyways, yep, we're both here.
So I have
Let's
like
get on this.
two updated entries in the names list, but I read these while you weren't here, so if there's a name that sounds particularly interesting to you, I can open that one.
Are there any names I should know, like that are important for me to know?
Guinan might be helpful. I mentioned him before, but
Garnan?
Representative Trustee of the Galaxy Federation Miltian Autonomous States Special Foundation, the Kukai Foundation. Like Junior, he was a survivor of the URTV Voodoo Retrovirus. That's what it stood for. The T is silent, I guess. Force that was created to combat Voodoo. Named for the alchemical process of blackening as put forth in CGU Psychology and Alchemy, URTV Unit Number 669, a variant possessing the name Negredo, pitch black. Presently hiding his identity as a URTV, he fills the role of representative trustee for the Kukai Foundation along with Junior. Black-haired with dark green eyes, calm personality, he shoulders the trust and expectations of the Foundation members and holds powerful political influence. He was lauded for his defense and unification of victims prior to the enactment of the Species Preservation Act. He possesses the power to control the thoughts of others and the power of hypnotic suggestion, interference with a person's subconscious, using his voice as a medium. If Junior is the practical controlling force behind the Kukai Foundation's activities, it can be said that Guinan is the political force. It is through the combined efforts of them both that the Kukai Foundation's continued existence is made possible. Without either, it would fail. Taken in by Helmer after the Miltian conflict, Guinan inherited the name of Zoze Kukai upon establishment of the Foundation. Incidentally, Zoze Kukai is the name of a fictitious industrialist invented by the Second Miltian government in order to pool special activities capital. Unlike the other URTVs, Guinan was not programmed to react to Voodoo waveforms. His true role was to act as a failsafe in the event that a powerful variant went berserk, specifically the elimination of Junior. Furthermore, Dmitry Yuriev planned to extend his own life by transplanting his psyche into Guinan, due to Guinan's special powers. After his body was taken over by Dmitry, Guinan was forced to work towards Dmitry's goals regardless of his own will.
Okay.
So now you know all about him.
Anybody else you think I should know about? Oh boy, Chaos.
A slight boy with an expression perpetually brimming with sorrow and a far-sighted and philosophical manner of speech, distinguished by his transparent eyes and silver hair. As he refuses to mention anything of his past beyond his name, his personal history, and even the question of whether he remembers it himself are shrouded in mystery. It seems as though he has spent a great deal of time with Captain Matthews and his crew and has earned their trust. A whole lot of nothing.
Okay.
Supervisor for the Federation Special Inspection Office of Advanced Technology, Department of Energy, father of Shion and Jin. supervisor for the Federation government who was sent to monitor the UTIC organization. Despite officially being a government-established body, the large concentration of former citizens of the immigrant fleet amongst its staff provoked the fears of the Federation. Though initially rigorous in his work, after Suo was contacted by Ormus, he began to issue reports to the Federation government which served the interests of Ormus and the immigrant fleet in return for medical treatment for his wife, Aoi. The UTIC organization's budget was expanded at Suo's recommendation, leading to increased armament for Milch's former autonomous military, the principal force of the UTIC organization. Increasingly stricken by feelings of guilt as a result of this arming of the UTIC organization and Milch's former government, which had long resented their incorporation into the Federation, Suo made contact with Jin, then a member of the Federation's Special Ops, and leaked secret information regarding the UTIC organization, Ormus. Jin passed that information to Lieutenant General Helmer of the Special Ops Command on planet Zavarov, and a troop drop operation onto Milcha was planned. At the same time, the secret information was also passed to Dmitri at the Yuriev Institute on Zavarov, responsible for providing technological support to the Special Ops. He planned to use the URTVs to take over Milcha completely. That was stuff I didn't know. Oh yeah, we were supposed to do the story summaries for episode 1 and 2. Did you leave again?
No. I'm waiting for you to read. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Talking and you kept not responding, so...
Sorry, I was checking my email. I'm waiting. I'm really paranoid that somebody's gonna call or email me because I really don't want to miss this opportunity to do IT work because that's actually that's what they gotta actually enjoy. Anyways.
Now here's the story summaries we were supposed to do a while ago.
Yeah.
Episode 1, Summary 1, 20XX AD.
Stan, this takes place in the same time as Undertale?
Yes. They're happening at the same time. You can actually see Frisk in the background. True story.
This is true. Fact checked by real American patriots.
A mysterious plate-like object was found at an archaeological dig around Lake Turkana, located in northern Kenya. The object, named Zohar, was responsible for the disappearance of Lost Jerusalem, forcing mankind to escape into outer space. 4,000 years later, TC 4767, the 117th Marine Division of the Galaxy Federation Army, with the space cruiser Roglinde as its flagship, was on a mission to investigate the disappearance of planet Ariadne. The anti-Gnosis android Cosmos was developed on the Roglinde in case of an attack by the mysterious enemy Gnosis. Shion Uzuki, the chief of Vector's first R&D division, and development members were also on board for Cosmos' startup experiments. Cosmos' startup experiment was conducted repeatedly while the fleet continued their investigation, but the experiments were not going smoothly, and the unit was not ready for combat. Though frustrated with the failed experiment, Shion also felt resistance to Cosmos, left to her by her dead lover Kevin waking up as a weapon. That was worded very awkwardly, but I get what it's saying. Assistant Chief Alan Ridgely, who is in love with Shion, could only watch her silently. While investigating the area where the disappearance occurred, the Lowindes found an object thought to be the Zohar and stored it. Finished with the investigation, the fleet left the area. With the mission safely accomplished, the crew breathed a sigh of relief. Shion was attacked by the Gnosis that had infiltrated the ship. I think you skipped a line. They forgot the part with the Gnosis attack.
Yeah, I was about to say, wow, attacked by the Gnosis that had infiltrated the ship. Gnosis infiltrated the ship?
News to me. As she lost consciousness, she saw an image of a mysterious girl that called herself Nephilim. Shion was helpless and knew she would die, but Cosmos self-activated and said, "Stop just skipping stuff, why are you just saying words? I hate this." Shion rendezvoused with Alan and Virgil, who's Virgil, after being saved by Cosmos and attempted to escape from the Lowinde. Cosmos defeated the numerous Gnosis that attacked them, but during the battle, Cosmos shot and killed Captain Virgil along with the Gnosis in order to save Shion. Cosmos felt no remorse for killing Virgil and told Shion, who was appalled at her actions, that she is a weapon. Shion was unable to accept what Cosmos declared and escaped from the Lowinde with Alan in the escape pod.
Thank you, Cosmos.
So, unmentioned here, Cosmos kind of forced them into the escape pod without her, and Cosmos kind of just did her own thing for a little bit.
Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, they skipped my favorite part of this whole exchange. Okay, so
Which
Cosmos
was...
is kind of just free-floating in space at this point, and she, like, lands on the outer hull of the Elsa, and is like, "Hey, guys, take me to Second Miltia." And everyone starts freaking out because I thought, like, they hit a dead person, and then she's just, breathing in space because she's a robot, and she can do that.
But she's a
And
robot.
so Captain Matthews is like, "Yeah, we're just gonna leave you there, and we'll continue on our job, and that'll be that." And Cosmos threatens to just destroy the ship right then and there unless they take her to Miltia. So
I get the feeling she wants to go to Miltia.
So they Second Miltia specifically, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, second Miltia.
So they take her in, and then Shion calls the ship to talk to Cosmos. And Shion's like, "Cosmos, you're going to take us with you right now." And Cosmos is like, "No, the fuck I'm not. I'm going to Second Miltia. You're going to stay there until the Federation comes to save you. And that's what's going to happen." And Shion goes, "I will open this escape pod right now and kill both of us." Referring to Alan. And I was like, please don't? And Cosmos is like, "You wouldn't do that." So Shion goes to actually open the escape pod in the vacuum of space. And Cosmos is like, "Okay, fine, we can take you with me, I guess." And then Shion was rescued by a space cargo vessel, the Elsa, and met a boy named Chaos who possessed strange powers. In front of Shion, Chaos disintegrated a Gnosis just by touching it. She was surprised by his power while Chaos silently smiled at her. That sounds creepy.
That's terrifying. If someone did that to me, I'd be terrified.
The captain of the ship, Matthews, accepted Cosmos' high-handed request and headed for Second Miltia with Shion and Alan. Meanwhile, the cyborg Ziggy was on a lone mission on the asteroid Pleroma by the request of the Galaxy Federation's Contact Subcommittee to retrieve the kidnapped 100 series prototype Realian Momo from the UTIC organization. Momo was targeted by the UTIC commander Margulis due to the secret document known as the Y-Data that was embedded into her subconscious domain by Joachim Mizrahi. Ziggy was able to safely rescue her and escape Pleroma with a small vessel, but was pursued. While on their way to Second Miltia, the Elsa detected Ziggy and Momo, who were under attack. They destroyed the UTIC organization's auto-tech and saved them. After conferring with Yuli Mizrahi, Ziggy and Momo stayed on board the Elsa to go to Second Miltia. Later, the Elsa rendezvoused with the heavily armed ship the Durandal that was investigating the UTIC organization. Shion and the others met a boy named Junior, who was a member of the board of directors of the special foundation known as the Kukai Foundation. Junior, with ties to the Second Miltia government, understood the situation surrounding Momo and invited them to stay at the Kukai Foundation. They get a little respite at the colony owned by the Kukai Foundation courtesy of the representative director guiding Kukai. Sometimes I feel like they just like writing words. You could have said that in like half the words. Margulis, who had been watching them, created a trap for the Foundation in order to obtain the Y data that lay dormant in Momo. By Margulis' scheme, the Foundation was surrounded by a Federation fleet on grounds of treason against the Federation. They were arrested and detained by the army, but they proved their innocence with the battle data recorded in Cosmos. Ah, yes, Margulis' scheme that we will not elaborate on.
Yes. The scheme, the scheme specifically by Margulis.
I did tell you about that part, though.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a while ago, though.
What was it? Briefly.
Yeah, okay, so I just tried to scroll with my mouse instead of the D-pad. This is sad. Up here. Okay, so it says the Durandal's investigating the UTIC organization. A little before they rendezvoused with the Durandal, Junior was attacking a UTIC ship.
Uh-huh.
But that was actually part of Margulis' scheme, to get footage of the Durandal attacking.
Uh-huh.
Because that was at the same location that the Logwinde was attacked by the Gnosis.
Uh-huh.
Because the UTIC was going to go pick up the Zohar that was left behind.
Uh-huh.
So, the Durandal attacked the UTIC ship there, but then Margulis doctored some footage and made it look like the Durandal attacked the Logwinde.
Okay.
Because it was in the exact same spot. So it made it look like the Second Miltian government turned traitor and just attacked the Federation fleet.
Durandal, public enemy number 1.
They were safely released from the army, but Margulis had already ordered possession of... Are we skipping the entire subconscious domain with Cosmos? Why? They went to the memory land Miltia 14 years ago inside of Cosmos' memories to get the data that proved their innocence.
Okay.
And like they got like a premonition that Cosmos was going to destroy the universe.
By the way, after we're done with the episode 1 and 2 summaries, I might have to go back to the school for a bit. And then I
Okay.
can come back.
Sure.
I shouldn't be there too long, though. And like I said, I live like 5 minutes away from the school, so it's not like it's like 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back.
Like at the end of the Cosmos memory land thing, Nephilim gave us a vision of the future, or a possible future, where Cosmos was going to fight Udu in space and like blow up the planet, and it was going to like explode or something.
Okay.
So we're building up to that, I guess. They were safely released from the army, but Margulis had already ordered possession of Momo. The man in charge, Albedo, was a URTV, a bioweapon created during the Miltian conflict 15 years ago, and a man obsessed with Junior, another URTV like him. Albedo accepted Margulis' request and powered the Song of Nephilim, an invention of madness by Joachim Mizrahi in Miltian space. Second Miltia and the Kukai Foundation were in danger from the swarm of Gnosis that appeared in Miltia space from the song. Momo was kidnapped by Albedo and taken to the Song of Nephilim when she stayed behind to treat the injured. Junior was enraged when he found out that Momo had been taken. Shion used Cosmos' face cannon to force the Song of Nephilim to appear in real space. They successfully entered it and saved Momo while cornering Albedo. However, Albedo managed to escape when a mysterious cloaked individual known as Testament suddenly appeared before them. I don't think he was introduced as Testament at that time. Albedo had gone mad and brought the massive factory Proto-Merkaba into existence using the Y data fragments he acquired from Momo. Albedo tried to destroy Second Miltia with Proto-Merkaba, which is powerful enough to take on the Gnosis. Shion and the others attempted to destroy Proto Merkaba from the inside to stop its attack. They successfully destroyed the main reactor at its center, which had fused with the Gnosis, but after losing its power source, Proto Merkaba started to slowly follow Second Miltia. Albedo laughed at Junior and left.
Albedo left at Junior and left.
Cosmos attempted to dismantle Proto Merkaba
Hold on.
from the inside to stop it from devastating Second Miltia. She was successfully able to dismantle it, and Proto Merkaba disintegrated into numerous fragments. However, unable to get out of Second Miltia's gravitational field, the Elsa started to fall out of control as well. The Elsa was engulfed in the high temperature of the atmospheric plasma. In order to save the Elsa, Cosmos exited the vessel to deploy her protective shield around the ship. Shion tried to stop her, but communication with her was cut off. Although her body was burned by the frictional heat, Cosmos deployed the shield. As if responding to her powers, Chaos's fists started to glow. The two powers surrounded the Elsa as white wings. The Elsa emerged in the sunrise from the bridge. Shion saw Cosmos standing on the ship. We finished episode 1. The very in-depth story summary. I hope the episode 2 summary is better, because that was a disaster. Episode 2. TC-4753. The conflict that had broken out on Miltia had already spread its flames of war across the entire planet. To destroy the source of the conflict, the UTIC organization, and to capture the organization's founder, Joachim Mizrahi, the Galaxy Federation executed its third descent operation against the UTIC headquarters of Labyrinthos. Also sent in to neutralize the Zohar control system was the Federation's trump card, the URTVs, Special Forces Unit. Lieutenant General Helmer of the Galaxy Federation Special Operation Forces felt there was a danger in allowing contact between the URTV bioweapons and the Zohar control device. He independently put into action a secret plan to protect the URTVs. With the cooperation of Vector's CEO Wilhelm, Helmer sent in a new mobile weapon, the ES Asher, and entrusted its two pilots, Chaos and Kanan, with the task of reaching Labyrinthos. The ES Asher made it through the fighting and descended to the city streets, but at that same time, the UTIC organization, pushed to desperation, activated the Song of Nephilim. The song sent the streets of Miltia into complete pandemonium. Kanan and Chaos found themselves under overwhelming attack from Realians and Federation soldiers that had lost their minds. A single Federation Ames came to their rescue. Its pilot was none other than Shion Uzuki's older brother, Captain Jin Uzuki of the Special Operations Military Intelligence Unit. Via a certain method, Jin had obtained information regarding the Miltian conflict and had been heading for Labyrinthos in order to analyze it. Learning that his objective was the same as Kanan and Chaos's, they traveled together to the Labyrinthos main terminal. Commander Margulis of the UTIC organization appeared before them. To settle the matters of the past that bound them deeply together, Jin and Margulis crossed swords. Jin barely managed to fight off Margulis, but was badly wounded himself. Judging that he could not continue his mission, he entrusted the data he had obtained into Kanan's memory and bid them farewell. Later, the Berserk Zohar brought about a space-time anomaly that pulled Miltia into the abyss. Miltia was lost. Flashing forward 15 years from that event brings us to the present. TC-4767. Hey, Tatsuya Takahashi? Would you like to tell me how 4753 plus 15 equals 4767?
53 plus... Yeah, that's 14 years. No, wait, what?
It is
No, that's...
14 years.
Yeah, it is.
The problem here is that 15 years is when Xenosaga 3 happens. Xenosaga 2 is before the year time skip. So it's 15 years now, but at the point that this is being written, it's 14 years. TC-4767. After stopping to follow Proto Merkaba, the Elsa landed safely on Second Miltia. Shion, Junior, and the others temporarily split up to attend to their respective tasks. Shion headed to Vector's 2nd R&D Division to turn over Cosmos. Junior and the others headed for the UMN Control Center to analyze the Y data that slept within Momo. Finally free from their previous danger, Junior and the others relaxed, but the mobile weapons team led by Pellegrini attacked Momo once more. To protect Momo, the group ran into the city, but the enemy forces attacked them without hesitation and their escape routes were cut off one by one. They were saved from their predicament by Kanan and the ES Asher. Meanwhile, Shion finished handing over Cosmos and was reunited with her brother in the city. Shion felt a mix of emotions upon unexpectedly seeing her brother again and was unable to be honest about her feelings. The events of the Miltian conflict 14 years earlier had built a wall between them. The next day, with the cooperation of the Durandal crew, the analysis of the Y data began. As the representative of the contact subcommittee, Yuli arrived at the control center in order to be present at Momo's analysis procedure. Momo rejoiced at seeing Yuli again, but Yuli held a complex mix of emotions regarding Momo, who had been constructed in the image of her late daughter. Yuli welcomed the arrival of Junior's group, but she was unable to hide her troubled feelings toward Momo, the Realian girl who viewed Yuli as her mother. The analysis procedure was expected to go smoothly, but a trap set by Albedo was triggered and the Y data began to leak out. Yuli and the others tried to prevent the exposure of the data, but their desperate efforts proved futile and the Y data continued to leak out. Observing the situation from the depths of her own consciousness, Momo shattered her own mind to sever the external link, stop the data flow, and protect Yuli and Joachim's legacy. But her action had a great cost, and all of Momo's functions shut down. Yuli's desperate treatment barely managed to prevent Momo's complete shutdown, but her mind had been shattered and her consciousness would not return. Shion and Alan were at the 2nd R&D division when they received a message from Junior telling them of Momo's dire situation. They hurried to the control center. Shion joined up with Junior and the others, and together they attempted to dive into Momo's subconscious domain to recover her mind. The world into which they dove turned out to be the memories of Sakura, the daughter of Joachim and Yuli after whom Momo had been modeled. In the world of Momo's subconscious domain, Junior re-experienced his memories of when he had been part of the URTV forces. His first meeting with Sakura, the days of training with Albedo and Negredo. A flood of memories drove Junior's heart into greater and greater disarray. Finally, Albedo appeared before Junior and tormented him over his betrayal of his comrades. Junior exploded with anger towards Albedo for hurting Momo and was unable to control his red dragon power. Seeing the two brothers, Junior and Albedo, fighting each other, their own flesh and blood, Momo began to resonate with Sakura's consciousness, which had been sleeping within Momo's own subconscious domain, and finally awoke. But that, in fact, had been Albedo's true objective. With the awakening of Momo's subconscious, the Y data leaked out and Albedo finally obtained what he had sought for so long. With the Y data in hand, Albedo restored passage to Old Miltia, unlocking the sealed-away planet to accomplish his personal objective. Upon learning of the disturbance in Miltian space and the restoration of Old Miltia, the immigrant fleet, as well as the Galaxy Federation government, began invasion operations to recover the original Zohar that lay on Miltia. Miltian space was in disarray, filled with a multitude of hopes and ambitions. To quell the chaos, Second Miltian Government Representative Helmer commissioned the Kukai Foundation to guard the Zohar. Junior and the others accepted Helmer's request and, together with Jin and Kanan, put into action a plan to reach Old Miltia and the Elsa. Meanwhile, with the declaration of a state of emergency in Miltian space, Shion was called back to Vector's headquarters, the Damarung. Nephilim appeared before her once again. To fulfill her promise to Fabronia, Shion stole the spacecraft Dina from the Damarung's hangar and headed for Miltia with Alan. This is the first time it's mentioned Fabronia. On their way to Miltia, Shion and Alan were suddenly attacked by unidentified mobile weapons and found themselves in a hopeless situation against their overwhelming power. To save Shion, Cosmos once again started up under her own will. With the power of Cosmos and the Dina, Shion and Alan escaped their predicament and met up with Elsa on its mission. The two groups joined forces. After landing on Miltia, the party fought off the UTIC organization's persistent attacks and headed straight for Labyrinthos. When they arrived at its core, they saw the original Zohar before them, as well as Udu, its control system, with Herbronia's sisters attached inside. The twisted forms of Cecily and Kath were being kept alive as a mere part of the system. Shion reacted with shock at the sight. The leader of the immigrant fleet, Patriarch Sergius, appeared before them and declared that all of this was for the sake of Ormus rule. He then used the system to activate the Zohar. There was no way to stop the Zohar besides destroying the system. That meant the death of Herbronia's sisters. As Shion was overwhelmed with despair, the image of Fabronia once again spoke gently to her. Shion understood Fabronia's words and ordered Cosmos to destroy the system to free Fabronia's sisters from their curse. But even destroying the system did not stop the Zohar, and the Patriarch brought about the revival of Proto-Omega. The Omega system appeared, destroying Miltia. The Galaxy Federation fleet was wiped out, completely helpless against Omega's overwhelming destructive power. To destroy this giant system, Shion and the others penetrated the Omega using the Elsa. The party faced off against the Patriarch in the center of Omega. Then Albedo appeared before them. Albedo tried to take the Zohar from the Patriarch, but he was defeated by Proto-Omega's overwhelming power and faded away into nothingness. Junior was filled with rage at seeing his other half killed before his eyes, but, faced with the fearsome power that the Patriarch had obtained, could do nothing but watch. The Patriarch laughed at them, calling them nothing more than insects, and moved to destroy Second Miltia to demonstrate his godlike power. Suddenly, however, Proto-Omega shut down. The Testaments appeared before the bewildered Patriarch. To retrieve the Zohar from the Patriarch, the Testaments destroyed him along with Proto-Omega. Shion's group was confused as to the Testaments' intent. The Testaments ignored the party completely and revived Albedo, allowing him to finally fulfill his wish of contacting Udu. The space-time anomaly brought about by the contact of Albedo and Udu swallowed up Miltian space and began to slowly spread out throughout the cosmos. To settle things with Albedo, Jr. set out alone into the space-time anomaly. The sad conflict between brothers was resolved with the destruction of Albedo. The Kirschwashers gently nestled up to Albedo's lingering consciousness as it gradually dissipated. With his cherished desire fulfilled, Albedo faded away in satisfaction. Though it had only been for a brief moment, Junior had been able to touch his heart. He quietly looked on as Albedo, his brother, and his other half passed on. The space-time anomaly receded. The original Zohar that drifted at its center was swallowed by a giant Gnosis, Abel's Ark, and was once again lost. In his office on board the Damarung, Wilhelm watched over the events. Chaos quietly but firmly made his intentions clear to Wilhelm. Hearing his words, Wilhelm merely smiled. And called him Jesus Christ, but I guess we're ignoring that part.
Unimportant.
Alright, you're all caught up now. Now you know all of Xenosaga's story.
Some of it.
No,
Most of it.
All of it. See, we went through all the summaries. That was everything.
It's all of it.
I was hoping those would be more helpful. So you need to run back by the school, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Alright, I'll be back here in a bit. I suspect it shouldn't take longer than like an hour.
So I'm gonna
On the
continue
long one.
reading, but I'm gonna try to save like the more important ones for when you're back.
Okay. So, try and like make a note of any that you think I would want to hear about.
I will try.
Like, just send me a DM on any that you think are interesting that I would want to hear.
Be severely overloaded with information, but I will do my best.
Okay. Alright, I'll be back.
Alright. Okay, let's see if there's anything interesting hidden in the tutorials. It's good to know there's max values for everything. Instead of just having to guess what the number is. Oh, that's how that works, okay. I didn't know Animal 2 lasted 3 turns. What are you talking about? I have never seen this. %20 is a little excessive. Oh, that's evil. Oh, he's from Micton. Actually, I don't think it is pronounced like eggs. And that one is pronounced like Ames. see.
Hello?
Hi.
Guess who's got a fucking interview with IT tomorrow?
You're like really close to the microphone.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone.
Oh, that's why your phone's always like twice as loud.
Here, I'll hold it down here. Is this good?
A little bit.
Okay. Is it good enough that you can bear it for a little bit while
I'm
I
just gonna turn
while
it down for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. But I've got an interview with IT tomorrow
Hell yeah.
at 10:30.
Nice.
And the way that work study apparently works is I get to work a maximum of 20 hours a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I make $12 an hour,
Not
which
bad.
like okay, that's better than anything I've been offered by any other job. B, I get off $12 a month to do IT work. Oh fuck yeah! Oh fuck yeah! Like that's fucking massive. That's absolutely fucking massive. Like think of that like in terms of being like a resume builder. That's insane.
Yeah.
While I'm going to school to get my bachelor's for cybersecurity, I was doing IT work. I'm gonna be one of the most qualified people ever.
You're gonna be the first person to have more years of work experience than your age.
I will be more qualified than I am physically capable of being. There will be an integer over.
All those entry-level jobs that require 20 years of experience, you've got it already.
No, like honestly, and as long as I keep being poor, as long as I keep being fucking broke, I can keep doing the work study. And hell, if I like, there's a possibility that even if I stop doing the work study, they'll just employ me. Like they'll just hire me as an IT worker for them.
Does that remove the 20-hour maximum limit?
Yes, it does. Oh, I'm gonna walk and drive around this person. Yeah, that would remove that, and it would probably give me a higher paycheck.
Hell yeah.
So, like, genuinely, like things can only go up. This is massive. Getting this my freshman year of my, I'm dumbfounded. Like, genuinely, they've reached out to me and went, "Hey, we were looking over your application. We want you to work for IT." Genuinely, I'm gobsmacked. Actually, no, I want to go this way. Like, it's impossible for me to overstate the insanity, how ludicrous it is that I was messaged, like I was emailed about this. God. Anyways, I'll talk to you whenever I get home. I'm on my way home now.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
was hoping for a little bit more than that. Oh well. But how? He's been dead for 15 years.
Hello?
Welcome back.
Okay, there we go. Fuck yeah! My mom might call me here in a bit, so if she does, I'll have to mute for a bit, but I'll be back, don't worry. I also checked out a book from the library about digital electronics and microprocessors.
Good job.
I feel like it'll be useful to know. Anyways, what did you send me earlier? I saw you sent me something, but I didn't get the chance to read
Yeah,
it.
since a lot of things.
You did, yes. Oh god, that's a lot more than I thought you sent. Okay. Want to break some of that down for me?
If you want to read it and ask a question, sure.
Dog 2's AMWS is modeled after an ES. AMWS
Big robot, but doesn't have a vessel of anima in it.
is modeled after an ES, which is a big robot with a vessel of anima.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, how do you say that? I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
Guyan.
Guinan. Ah, Silent G. Uh, has an has an anti-Udo mode. There's a girl, your
All the
TV.
variants have a specific anti-Udu power, but
We did-
Guinan's and the girls are not known.
Okay. Guinan has special attacks from Yurio during conflict. Doesn't kill Yurio. Details are still unknown. Excuse me?
Yeah.
So it is thousands.
For Wilhelm.
Yeah.
It was Yuriev we were unsure of, specifically.
Griffin is an executive committee director for the Federation. The big man leader, the big man leader man of the whole man government. Somehow it's like for 15 years. Okay. Also, okay, I don't have many questions, really any.
Yeah.
Is
I've read
that
a
I
lot
think
more than that. Those are the only ones I felt like were particularly relevant to anything.
you can tell I'm learning because I am like, yeah, okay, like most of this makes a good amount of sense. Also, I was driving, right? I was
Okay.
driving down the street, and I I remembered this image exists.
The stream is not being subjected to this.
Subject the stream to Nintendo logo to Nintendo Switch system logo to Nintendo Switch. Swin Nintendo two.
Oh, I should be like actually reading now that you're back.
Yeah, probably.
My bad.
That would help a bit.
Contact Subcommittee. A research committee established by the Federation government in TC 4754 to respond to the Gnosis phenomenon. 7 expert members, including Representative Yuli Mizrahi, serves as the group's central core. Together with the other committee members, the so-called subcommittee numbers over 2,000 people. The implementation of the Zohar project, the recovery of the original Zohar, and the analysis of the Y data were all advanced by the Contact Subcommittee, which was at the center of each project. Once Dmitry Yuriev returned to the Federation Parliament, implementation work on the Zohar project was transferred to the military, and the subcommittee participated in the project as a supporting player. Finally, acknowledgement of he was gone? Okay, so my current understanding of this now is Dmitry Yuriev was still the executive director 15 years ago during the Miltian conflict, and then he died, but it was like covered up, so nobody actually knew he died. So he came back and made up a story about why he was gone, so he just got to resume his post. That is my guess.
Nobody asked any questions. They're just like, okay, welcome back.
Tactical Sim Lab, a department within Vector. Its role is to conduct tactical level operational tests and assessment examinations on the arms and weaponry that have been developed. Its official title is the Vector Tactical Simulations Laboratory. Its mission is not only to test, but, depending on the situation, also to conduct research and development into new technology. Within Vector, it is classified as a regular development section. 117th Marine Division. The Federation Marine Division with which the Globlinde was affiliated as it set off to investigate the disappearance of planet Ariadne. Marine headquarters are on planet Tessadora, located in the most remote region of space from the Galaxy Federation's capital planet. As a result, the deployment of the anti-Gnosis 100 series observational units was delayed and the Woblinde was made to meet a disastrous end. Marine headquarters are far removed from the Federation's strategic zone, making it difficult for the Federation to execute proper oversight. The 117th Marine Division had been infiltrated by many people from the UTIC organization. 34th Special Transport Troop, a special transport force affiliated with the UTIC organization. As it was transporting combat realians into Labyrinthos, it fell under attack by a Federation drop unit and was destroyed. The combat realians that this force had been transporting had been recalibrated on Proto-Merkaba to go out of control. The UTIC organization used these realians to set off the Miltian conflict. Nexus, a company that developed its business around the production and sale of synthetic animals, the Nexus series. The bodily structure of a synthetic animal is largely composed of the same materials as a realian, a synthetic human. However, Nexus does not produce any humanoid realians. As loss of control accidents and human rights issues piled up around humanoid realians after the Miltian conflict, the production and sale of synthetic animals and expansion of the pet industry became a far lower risk approach to stable profits. What's more, since a sharp decline in fertility has led to purebred animals being bought and sold at high prices, the family-friendly price structure of Nexus's synthetic animals is now part of the reason that the series has been continually popular for several centuries. Hyams, a gigantic conglomerate that stands shoulder to shoulder with Vector. Originally a corporate entity affiliated with the immigrant fleet, it changed its names to Hyams Heavy Industries after being admitted to the Federation. Its representative is Heinlein, a man with a seat as an Ormus Cardinal. Heinlein is the guy that Margulis serves. Margulis betrayed Patriarch Servius in favor of Heinlein's command.
Okay.
So Heinlein is really the big guy in control of Ormus. And that's about all we know about him.
Got it.
Zohar Project, a major anti-Gnosis project implemented by the Galaxy Federation government and affiliated organizations. It originally began with research into using the original Zohar as an energy generator, but the project's coverage was partially altered in order to deal with this Gnosis phenomenon and its rapidly accelerating expansion. Currently, the Contact Subcommittee is playing the central role in its implementation. As the name implies, the original Zohar is at the center of the project. Salvaging it has become urgent business. The 100 series system, the Cosmos project, and the Udu system that the UTIC organization has been researching are all part of the achievements of the Zohar project. Once Dmitry Yuryev's survival had been confirmed after the space-time anomaly in Miltian space, he took command of the project and pressed Salvatore faction representatives to transfer project leadership from the Contact Subcommittee to the military. I don't know if I'm looking too much into this, but it sounds like it's trying to say that the excuse Dmitry used for how he's around again is that he was caught in the space-time distortion on Miltia, so once that resolved, he was released.
Okay.
The content of the project soon took a strikingly different direction, leading to the development of Merkaba, Omega Res Novae, and the T weapon, Telos. UTIC Organization. Official name. The Unknown Territory Interventing and Creation Organization. Its previous incarnation, the Cerebral Sciences Research Center, was founded by Joachim Mizrahi. It was Joachim who proposed it be restructured into the UTIC Organization. After becoming the UTIC Organization, the group continued its research into using the original Zohar as an energy generator and weapon, as well as performed the development of 100 series observational units, the Hilbert Effect, and combat realians. Aiming to rule the galaxy through command of the Zohar, the group then rebelled against the Federation government and set off the Miltian conflict. However, Labyrinthos was overrun by the Galaxy Federation descent operations, and the organization's mastermind Joachim Mizrahi fell to his death. After the Miltian conflict, it vanished from the center stage of history, but the group itself survived, setting up base on the planetoid Pleroma. Gathering information and building up its military power in secret, it leapt back onto center stage in order to obtain the Y data that had been sealed within the 100 series observational unit prototype Momo. Ostensibly, the organization was founded by Joachim Mizrahi, but in truth, everything was under the direction of the Ormus Patriarch. As it was restructured into the UTIC organization, the group expelled nearly all Federation government officials and researchers who had been stationed there as inspectors for the Cerebral Sciences Research Center. It cemented its internal staff with members of Ormus and the old Miltia hierarchy. Hyams, a business affiliated with Ormus, joined the group, taking Vector's place in weapons development and sponsorship. At that time, even Federation Colonel Margulis, UTIC Supreme Commander, was already a member of Ormus. From this, one can see that a sizable number of Ormus members had been embedded within the Federation's government and military. 474th Special Ops Fleet. A fleet under the command of the UTIC organization's Margulis that primarily takes on special missions. It is made up of several Spec Ops ships and vessels. The fleet was mobilized to retrieve the Zohar emulators stored on the Woglende that failed to arrive before the emulators had been taken by the Gnosis. There was only one. Why are you saying plural? However, the fleet was placed on standby in the area on orders of Margulis, who had surmised that the Kukai Foundation would move to investigate the destroyed Woglende. It would later engage the Durandal there. Margulis did not issue a standby order to the 474th Spec Ops fleet in order to have them defeat the Durandal. He called for the standby to create a situation wherein the Durandal would engage something in that region, an engagement he could then record. Now it's describing the scheme. The UTIC organization would later fabricate an image of the Durandal and the destroyed Woglende, throwing the Kukai Foundation and the Miltian Autonomous Government into its trap. The 474th Special Ops Fleet took some damage during its engagement with the Durandal, but it still successfully completed its mission. Federation Fleet. The fleet of the Galaxy Federation military, established to maintain peace and stability across all space. It destroys enemy fleets by deploying multiple squadrons and Spec Ops ships around a central flagship. These destroyer fleets, grouped together with convoys built to escort groups of ships, supply fleets that handle procurement, and other vessels, are termed the Federation Fleet. Many of the ships that make up the fleet were built by Vector and Hyams. Once divided into naval and space fleets, these were integrated together as the Federation Space Force. Even though the naval and space fleets are now under the command of the Federation Space Force, they both still retain their own manners and customs. Federation Parliament. An assembly where representatives from each autonomous state gather to establish governmental, planetary, and other policies. Its central assembly hall is located on the capital planet, 5th Jerusalem. There is also a space built within the UMN that is modeled after the central hall and linked with the real-life assembly. Therefore, only a very few representatives visit the parliament on 5th Jerusalem. Most representatives participate through the UMN. Different assemblies are open to depending on the issues to be discussed. The assembly on how to deal with Miltia is the same as the normal Federation Parliament, with all autonomous state representatives in assembly. There are also special assemblies, hastily summoned during emergencies, and administrative auditing assemblies that have the role of secretly investigating Galaxy Federation internal affairs and preventing corruption. In addition, there is the Executive Committee Assembly, which decides important matters of Federation law. I think the administrative auditing assemblies need to do a better job. Federation Police. As its official name, the Galaxy Federation Police suggests, it is a law enforcement agency under Galactic Federation jurisdiction that operates on Federation-affiliated planets and regions of space. Its base is the Federation Police headquarters. It is further divided into precincts in each autonomous state. Each department and its role is fully standardized. However, there are also departments in the main headquarters that can go over the jurisdiction of the precincts in each autonomous state and conduct their own investigations. These departments handle crimes outside of regional space as well as UMN crimes. One of them, the Special Ops Command Precinct Force, used to have Ziggy in its ranks. The Federation Police's mission is to cooperate with autonomous states and their precincts to maintain law and order and to protect innocent people from crime, accidents, disasters of drugs, and so forth. Yeah, Ziggy used to be the captain of one of those special forces that solved crimes in the UMN. So Pied Piper was all about that.
Oh, give me a second.
Yep.
All right, I'm back.
So you want to hear something fun?
Yes.
Alright, so you know modern games and their file sizes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Care to take a guess at what Xenoblade X Definitive Edition's file size is?
30 gigabytes.
You thinking that's over or under?
Am I wrong?
I am asking if you think you are overshooting or undershooting.
I think I'm dead on the money.
You are wrong.
Okay, undershooting.
You can make a second guess.
Sorry, you cut out there.
You can make a second guess.
Did you tell me if I was over or under?
You said you were undershooting.
You know what? I'm going with 10 gigabytes.
Are you stupid?
Yes.
13.4.
Yes! I'll take that. Because, okay, you prefaced the conversation with, you know modern games and their file sizes, so I knew that it was going to be smaller.
Well, yeah, but I wanted you to pick a size that you thought was absolutely undershooting and then go up from there.
I mean, okay, the thing is, Switch games are never more than like 30 gigabytes. That's a lie.
It's still crazy,
like,
though.
It's a Wii U game.
The Wii U game was 22.5 gigabytes or something.
They learned file compression.
They have higher res textures and more content at half the file size.
We call that the Metroid Prime Remastered effect.
Yeah, except Metroid Prime isn't nearly as big as Xenoblade.
But it's still impressive that they got it in that size.
It's insanely impressive. I think Monolith should teach everybody else how to do that.
I think Monolith should teach me how to do that.
FSI. FSI is short for Federation Special Inspection and is the office inside the Department of Energy's Advanced Technology Agency. Shion's father, Suo Uzuki, is a member of the FSI. As an agency of the Department of Energy, its role is to govern and regulate the dangers involved with advanced technology. Due to the group's nature, it often deals in matters with major enterprises involving huge sums of money. People frequently point out cases where FSI has collided with the political or financial arenas. The Legislative Federation Council. The legislative body made up of tens of thousands of representatives. The high-level assembly held by the legislator's senior representatives is called the Galaxy Federation Executive Committee Assembly. And we are done with that category.
Which one is that? Organizations?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want unknown, locations, or cultural?
I want cultural.
Get ready for 10 billion terms.
Hey, look, these are going to be useful terms.
Android. Androids refer to humanoid robots or artificial humans. There were many references to them in science fiction novels during the times of Lost Jerusalem. Cosmos, developed by Vector Industries, is an anti-gnosis weapon in the form of a female and exemplifies an android. There are some who believe that an android like Cosmos is anachronistic in a time when realians are the norm. Although the technology to develop Cosmos is ancient, her specs far surpass those of realians, and both could be considered androids since they are both artificial. Uber-humans. Humans who had artificial modifications made to their bodies and brains during the heyday of the life recycling law, giving them certain types of special abilities, as are the offspring of these individuals, are called mutants? Am I dumb or is this not grammar?
Wait, what? Let me see. Humans who had artificial modifications made to their bodies and brains during the heyday of the life recycling law, giving them certain types of special abilities, as are the offspring of these individuals, are called mutant.
Okay, I've decided that
As are these things. These people,
yeah, like
humans who are auto-modified,
I have
as
decided
are their offsprings, is terrible sort of
it,
wording of that.
yeah. Yeah. But also I thought they were called uberhumans.
I don't know.
Andrew, Shelley, and Mary are a few mutants. Their outward appearance does not differ from that of humans in any way. At present, discrimination against mutants is strictly prohibited by Federation law. In reality, however, discrimination and prejudice is still rampant in all corners of the galaxy. The Kukai Foundation protects victims of the life recycling law and provides them with a place to live. Imaginary pocket. While not quite literally an imaginary pocket, this term is used here to refer to the space-time cleft between imaginary space and real space. It is the location where the Elsa was trapped along with Ren le Chateau when they were caught up in a space-time transfer. The pocket gradually grows smaller, eventually being converted to imaginary space that is immune to interference from real space. Interconnection. This is the technology used to dive into Cosmos' mainframe and refers to the establishment of a non-local connection by the mutual interaction. This method frees data transference from the limitations of physics and allows an instantaneous exchange of data across distances millions of light years apart. Theoretically, the exchange will occur without any lag in time. Interlink. An implanted control device that allows two individuals to communicate. The data sent and received is based on memory, but both the superficial and deep psyche may have an effect. It is also possible to connect the computer to the implanted jack and store the data as short-term memory and send it to another individual by the interlink. This allows data that are difficult to carry out to be shared as transferred memories. It is important to keep in mind that an interlink connects memories, and since memories are relatively easy to change, it is difficult to share long-term memories with accurate information. Also, the Species Preservation Act makes it illegal to implant devices and jacks into human beings. Shelley and Mary are connected by interlinks, but they are victims of the Life Recycling Act. Ethical. Ethical is a term used for the general public who do not work in any fields that are related to the government, army, or corporations. They are unable to receive incentives and qualifications like CAMMELs with their employment. Most citizens of Galaxy Federation are FLs. Environmental bug. Developed by Professor Joachim Mizrahi, they are nanomachines that purify and maintain the quality of air in enclosed areas. They slowly float through the air and congregate in dark areas while emitting light, giving them the appearance of fireflies. Encephalon. An extremely realistic virtual space that can be created using UMN location data, the uploaded recorded memories, and activities of individuals stored in the UMN. The time and the place can be recreated as long as the data is available. Encephalon dive is the process of entering the virtual space constructed by the encephalon. Unvisited areas within the encephalon can be explored because the UMN data supplements information missing from the diver's memory. However, the encephalon is still an unusable memory-dependent space. For this reason, divers' memories that share a time and place have been known to resonate and unintentionally replay. The word encephalon comes from the Greek word brain. Carnegie Structure Law. Basic theory that systemized the method to construct a virtual space within the UMN, conceived by the mathematician Carnegie, who was the head of Vector Industries Administration and Operations at the beginning of 4400 TC. After its formulation, all virtual spaces were constructed based on the structure law except under special cases. Many believe that this theory advanced the research on virtual space by a century. The structure law was named after Carnegie to honor his achievement. However, details on how he reached this theory were never disclosed. There are rumors that the theory was completed with help from leaders of Vector, but the truth is shrouded in mystery. Kamel. Kamel is a term used for those who work for Galaxy Federation government, the military, and corporations such as Vector Industries and the Kukai Foundation. Kamels work various jobs, and many of the main players in the story, including Shion, are Kamels. They are able to receive incentives and qualifications based on the number of the years they've contributed to society. These incentives vary from retirement packages, pension. You get a pension?
You get a pension?
and
Being a Kamel is great! You get a pension!
and rights to genetic transformations. Alan's plan was to retire after working 11 years as a camel and buy a lodge in some isolated area and fish every day for the rest of his life.
Like Ellen?
Good plan. Curry. We read that last night.
Yeah, we read that one.
Curry gruel. An easy-to-eat meal prepared by a concerned Alan for Shion when she fell ill. This rice gruel uses Shion's homemade curry as its soup base and has been prepared with plenty of Alan's tender affection, but its flavor cannot be guaranteed. That is bullying.
There's an entire log entry about the shitty curry that Alan made for Dion.
Enhanced memory model. This type of Realian is enhanced with 1,000 times more information encoding devices than a regular model for specialization in memory and storing recorded data. The amount of space even allows the model to back up its own memory and recorded data. It also has enhanced information access speed and protection against loss of information versus the regular model. Kanan is this type of Realian. He has undergone further enhancement by Vector with the addition of ES pilot abilities. Federation Emergency Powers Act. The Charter was established the year after the establishment of the Galaxy Federation government. Ordinarily, it is considered a violation of Federation law for anyone, even the Federation fleet, to engage in military operations within the territory of an autonomous state without prior notification and consent of the state government. However, this charter allows for exemptions from such laws during certain states of emergency, such as an act of treason by use of military force against the Black Galaxy Federation. Also, if there is a request of relief from the Federation government to the governments of outlying autonomous states during the deployment of the fleet while executing the Federation Emergency Powers Act, the autonomous governments must comply with the request swiftly. Klein point. The contact point between imaginary space and real space. Gnosis appearances and attacks take place from these points. Its estimated location can be confirmed using DSSS. Before the development of the Hilbert effect, this was the only part of Gnosis that could be attacked. In the story, Yuli fired Cosmos' space transfer cannon into this contact point and caused a crack to open into imaginary space in an attempt to rescue Bielsa. Cage partition. Various data are stored in the main database of cybernetic media and androids such as Cosmos and the artificial pseudo-brains of Realians that define their existence. Cage partition refers to the storage space where such data reside. Gate out. Refers to the process of ships and other vehicles moving out of hyperspace to normal space by using the UMN. The process is usually possible only within the valid range of the UMN transfer column. Gate jump. Refers to the process of ships and other vehicles moving into hyperspace from normal space by using the UMN. The process is usually possible only within the valid range of the UMN transfer column. Gnosis and the ES Dina are able to interact with hyperspace outside the valid range of the column. The Species Preservation Act. With the passage of the life recycling law, people pursued their ideals and desires. They came to ignore the basic nature of genes to add diversity in the various species. Yeah, I'm going to read the life recycling law before the Species Preservation Act. Life recycling law. Introduced as a proposal in TC 4590, this bill was approved and implemented in 91. Its aim was to recycle the bodies of the dead. Those who had registered as donors while alive had their bodies transformed into cyborgs after their deaths, but they were used as mere tools with no human rights. Furthermore, the notion of recycling was interpreted as extending the effective utilization of genes, and the bill was seen as including human clones and genetic and/or cranial nerve modification. This brought with it such benefits as broader living spaces and safety. However, with an increase in the number of mentally imbalanced individuals, people like Ziggy becoming Federation government equipment, and humanoid weapons like URTVs experiencing issues of societal standing, the Act was repealed in TC 4754. Another reason for repealing the Act was that, due to genetic modification, more and more people could adapt only to certain environments, and the human race was becoming biologically fragile. The number one reason the Life Recycling Act was repealed, though, was that the victims of genetic modification were fighting over planets with environments that could support them, resulting in a large number of casualties. passage of the life recycling law, people pursued their ideals and desires. They came to ignore the basic nature of genes to add diversity in the various species. A group consisting only of species that have adapted to only one environment is a group with the same inherent weakness. Hence, they are in danger of extinction from even the smallest changes in their environment. The Species Preservation Act was established to counteract the effects of the life recycling law. It was used to revitalize and correct the track of the human race who had become too vulnerable biologically. The goal of the Act is to re-examine the transmission of genes based on the laws of nature and to fix the genetic flaws caused by life recycling. Currently, the Galaxy Species Preservation Act Support Foundation, GPS, is headquartered in the Kukai Foundation. They work to abolish genetic transformation and cloning, which are still prevalent among the upper classes, and support victims of the life recycling law. Trade column. There are various types of columns, entrances and exits to hyperspace, depending on their usage. Trade columns are mostly used as a route by cargo and passenger vessels. It has high flow of traffic and was the main reason Ziggy selected to navigate through this column when he was escorting Momo, so that he could lose the tracking system from enemy transports. Connection gear. A PDA that is also used for communications. It is a mobile unit regularly used by Xion. When activated, a holographic monitor and keyboard appear. Its capabilities can be further expanded via downloads of various plugins. Commercial model. Firearms can be divided into three main categories: commercial models, law enforcement models, and those developed for the militaries. Although all three specs are relatively similar, the commercial model is targeted for general consumers and allows disabling of the full auto switch and has a limited number of rounds in the cartridge. One of the operators in the story suspected that Vector intended to create deployment experiments of the android Cosmos in the military and use them as advertising for a commercial model. Recycler. Refers to individuals who collect vessels shipwrecked in space, whether due to accidents or gnosis attacks, and illegally dumped objects, and who make a living selling them to brokers, either as is or after making some repairs. The law varies according to each autonomous state, but this activity is basically illegal and carries penalties such as 1 year of hard labor and a maximum fine of 300,000 G. The reclamation and black market sale of military goods in particular is prohibited by Federation law, and the penalties for doing so are far greater than those set by any autonomous state. However, Matthews is a side job as a recycler in an attempt to pay off his debts. Still, as such activity does violate the law and being involved in a crime would harm the reputation of the Foundation, Guinan has warned Matthews and his crew to abandon the recycler life. Cybernetic engineering. A generic term for engineering technology that integrates the human body and mechanical engineering, synonymous with cyborg technology. Cyborg. An obsolete technology, once popular in the age of the life recycling law. Bodies of donors were revived and retained as weapons of the Galaxy Federation government as cyborgs. Ziggy was one such human who, as a registered donor, was revived and turned to a battle cyborg after his death. Donors who were affiliated with special forces or the military were assigned similar duties after their revival, but donors without such background were at times assigned to harsh manual labor or dangerous terraforming activities. Some were even assigned as housekeepers. Many cyborgs were superior to humans in abilities but were stripped of their rights and placed in a very low social position. Because of these issues, the number of aspiring cyborg donors gradually decreased, and the Galaxy Federation adopted a negative stance toward cyborg donation. Presently, the life recycling law has become obsolete with the introduction of realians, which are far superior to cyborgs in performance. Note that individuals who have undergone a cyborg operation to repair and enhance flesh and blood bodies after damage received from accidents or some functional failure are not the same as donated cyborgs. Salvatore. The Children of the Messiah. Okay. The Children of the Messiah, designer children. Like Junior and Dmitry Yuriev, these are humans who underwent genetic modification during their developmental phase. Ongoing research and development is part of a measure to prevent the immigrant fleet from using a part of the Zohar's abilities. The life recycling law passed in TC 4591 is said to have been a shield allowing for the birth of more Salvatores. The Yuriev Institute has been controlling research efforts. Geocrystal. A naturally occurring crystalline material that was abundant in Lost Jerusalem. Although it is clear and colorless, it emits a glow of rainbow colors. Even a small amount of the substance, if in its purest form, can be sold for a small fortune, more than enough to repay all of Matthew's debt. Geodesic structure. Geodesic construction was invented by American architect Buckminster Fuller. It is a method of building domes wherein regular icosahedrons approximating spheres are overlaid with a network of many equilateral triangles. To visually represent the basic makeup of the superstructure UMN, it is often referred to as a geodesic dome, hence the term. Dig beta, an abbreviation of the digitalis beta and read as dig beta. A plant of the genus digitalis, which is native to southern Europe. Although its leaves can be dried and used as a potent cardiotonic, it is also extremely poisonous. Ingested in quantities above a safe dosage, it can induce a coma. Lieutenant Commander Andrew ordered his subordinates to inject dig beta during their escape from the Woglinde while under Gnosis attack. His aim was to induce the coma effect for a short while in order to hide their life signs from the Gnosis.
Digitalis is a real, like, actual medication
Yeah.
in the real world.
A plant of the genus digitalis, which is native to southern Europe. Auto mode refers to a mode wherein the unit operates autonomously. Go figure. Because Cosmos is currently running in auto mode, she uses her own judgment to process and act upon the various data entering the mainframe sensors. Ever since the incident when the archetype went out of control, auto mode was supposed to have been sealed. However, when the cruiser Loglinde was attacked by Gnosis, Cosmos began to run in auto mode without the startup code, rescuing the imperiled Shion. Seraphim Sisters. Consisting of Julia and Chloe, both from the Keltia, this vocal duo was all the rage after scoring a sensational galaxy-wide hit in TC-4766 with their debut single, A Curse of Love. Their gratuitously high-tension vocals, voluptuous and energetic dancing, and extreme scandalous private lives captivated men everywhere. Wonderful. Using a UMN channel to attend a Seraphim Sisters concert is a sacrilege amongst their most devoted fans. Captain Matthews, one of their zealous devotees, claims the experience has no meaning unless you step into the concert hall, burn the singing and dancing duo onto your retinas, and feel the concert's very presence with your own skin.
Thank you, Captain Matthews.
Safe House. Safe houses are rooms or buildings for resistance-type groups to lay low, keep watch, and bide their time. In emergencies, they can serve as evacuation shelters. It is for this reason that they are equipped with a variety of goods suitable for a number of developing tactics or situations. Apart from weapons and food supplies, the VLV Safe House is fitted with a machine with specs surpassing those of similar devices used by the Federation government. The Resistance is now stepping up its anti-UMN activities, including hacking into the Galaxy Federation and Vector's classified domains in order to wreak havoc on the UMN. Naturally, such acts are performed behind closed doors, and members are always warned to keep the Safe House's location highly confidential. Why are we talking about the VLV? That hasn't been mentioned in this game at all, that's why we don't have an entry for it. This is where it would be, but it's not here. That's what the Skintia organization used to be called before it got reformed by Melissa. After the events of Bad Piper. Absolute Standard Time. Standardized times decreed by the Galaxy Federation and used in the Federation capital, 5th Jerusalem. The original standard had been Lost Jerusalem time, with the day divided into 24 hours. It is customary to choose a planet similar to Lost Jerusalem to be home to the Federation capital, consequently the same concept of time is carried over as well. Absolute Coordinates signifies that any given coordinates remain the same from any perspective. Absolute coordinates are used when transferring ships to describe the placement and location of things like planets and areas of the galaxy lacking definitive landmarks. In the game, the UTIC organization's deception that made it appear that the Durandal attacked the Woglinde was based on the fact that the Woglinde's distress coordinates at the time were the same as the Durandal's engagement coordinates. In fact, the Durandal, which had come to scan the Woglinde, had been battling the UTIC organization's 474th Special Operations Fleet. As the Utuk organization reported the skirmish, the image of the fighting Durandal was combined with that of the sunken Woglinde. The Woglinde was believed to have had no survivors, with the only proof lying in its absolute coordinates. Post-war reparations. A compensation system established after the Miltian conflict that occurred. I will be right back.
Okay. I'll also be right back when we use the restroom. Okay, I'm back. Yep, I'm right here.
I need to go for dinner, and then I'll be back after that, and I'm good for the rest of all time.
Okay.
So we'll stop my stream and start it back up for reading part 2.
How long are you gonna be gone?
20, 30 minutes.
Okay.